So I was considering whether or not I wanted to actually cover this email. um, and I guess I decided I do want to cover it. So basically, this is good information. This is some pretty solid information. Um, After the last few years of actually trying to be a part of this process where we actually do improve the Democratic Party, forgive me if I feel a little bitter. Forgive me if I feel a little bitter that what I've experienced from the Progressive Network is far less actual effectiveness in trying to, out incumbents who are bad. Anyway, let's go over this. This is actually some good advice. I'll give you guys that. So we're approaching the pre-endorsing conferences at this point, and they're talking about the process. I did cover this in a live stream the other day about what happens, how they actually get the endorsement of the party and why that's so important. Because the endorsement of the party means you get resources and money to win your race. So this is actually some pretty good advice. I'll give you a thumbs up on this, y'all. Pull their damn endorsements. They're getting that from the rent is too damn high. That's like, chants, various activist chants that occur in order to get the message across. For those of you who don't actually go to these things or don't go to like activist events or whatever, that's where it comes from. Pull their damn endorsements. In this email, number one, how to pull the endorsement of a bad incumbent. This, I don't know. Okay, so each state party has their own bylaws and their own ways of doing things. So I don't know how transferable this information might be nationwide, but perhaps it might be applicable to you as well if you're an organizer or a delegate in a different state. So we'll go over it. Number one, this is what you're going to cover in the email. Clearly, you've got somebody putting your messaging together that actually has a bit more of an organized brain. So kudos to you. This is what we're going to cover in the email. Thank you for that. How to pull the endorsement of a bad incumbent. Number two, calls to action on redistricting. Number three, CalCare statewide phone bank 1220. Okay. So you're going to do a phone bank. All right. And number four, register for Caucus e-board meeting on the 12th. All right. I don't know. I'm getting so bored at this point. But this is a good email, so maybe I'll keep checking it out. How to pull and block the endorsement of a bad incumbent. So this is where it gets interesting. And folks, even if this is not applicable to your state, I think it's really important for those of you in the progressive movement who are concerned with trying to get incumbents out, because that is the focus here. Like, we're in that particular stage of the process right now. This is not the time to be like, Republicans bad and that's all we can focus on. This is actually the stage of the process where we have to consider who we need to primary and how we make that better. So yeah, it's not just about Republicans at this point. When we're in the primary season, it's also about getting rid of bad Democrats. That is important to consider. Okay, so they're giving you the actual details of how to do this. I don't know. I'm not dialed in enough to tell you whether or not it's good or bad advice or if it's even detailed enough, but let's go through it. It's generally bad practice to make any endorsement automatic based on incumbency alone. Because, okay, so let me explain that. That is what happens. Incumbents generally get put on a consent calendar and get voted through to have the endorsement without any sort of challenge. I don't think they actually laid this out. I did read through it, y'all. I don't think you actually laid out the actual number of delegates it takes to pull somebody from the consent calendar so they don't automatically get that endorsement. But there is like a specific number of delegates that you have to get on your side to do this in order to make it happen. So this is more like general messaging right now, just to try and give them, plant the seed in their minds, right? It's even worse if the district boundaries have just been moved. Okay, so fair point. Yeah, we're going through redistricting. But that is the CDP status quo. You know, you don't, honestly, the CDP is just an organizing body. I don't think it's necessary to constantly try and do it that way. Like, target the specific people who are the problematic so that we can get them out, rather than making it always about, well, the organizing body that we're trying to take over is so horrible. Focus on the specific people rather than generalizing. That's okay. That's my only complaint so far. However, with the CalCare AB 1400 CalRA battle pending in January, it's insanity. Okay, you know what? I gave myself some crap for this earlier on a live stream today, that we need to stop using mental health terms in the way that we describe things to hyperbolize. That's the word I'm looking for, I think. It's insanity to automatically endorse anyone except those few who are helping lead the fight. Those few? You only want to endorse a few? I mean, that's unrealistic. That's not a realistic statement. There's going to be endorsements made in every district. It's unlikely that you're actually going to pull off something where there's like no endorsements anywhere. That's insanity, if you will. With that in mind, we have our plates full through February. We need to organize for CalCare Plus. We need to organize and pull the endorsements of all incumbents failing to fulfill their commitment to progressive policies and our party's platform. Okay. Did they vote against climate bills? Pull their endorsement. I agree. Did they vote against police accountability? Again, pull their endorsement. I agree. Did they take corporate money? Without a doubt, pull their endorsement. Okay, folks, you know Ro Khanna has taken Peter Thiel money. That dude endorsed your entire slate for leadership of the Progressive Caucus. Surely you are making exceptions to that rule. So which corporate money is acceptable and which isn't? Stand by your principles. Are they part of the problem in our housing crisis? Yes, pull their endorsement. I agree. Are they refusing to support CalCare? Definitely pull their endorsement. If I'm remembering this correctly, I think CalCare might be the newest version, the newest iteration of the California State Medicare for All bill. I think that's what it is right now. But I've been too focused on trying to get worker measures on the ballot right now, you guys. Bottom line, no free rides on our watch. Okay. The thing you need to know is that pulling an endorsement requires submitting to the CDP by February 2nd. A petition calling for a pre-endorsement vote on February 12th instead of an automatic endorsement. Okay? Under the bylaws, the petition requires 20%. Okay, so they are giving you some numbers of the pre-endorsement voters. Usually the CDP provides a form for the petition which requires actual signatures. Okay, so when you're saying actual signatures, are you talking about you need wet ink? You need to be clear about that. Do you need wet ink signatures like what I'm doing for a freaking living right now, collecting wet ink signatures? You need to be very clear in what you're asking people to do. One of the key advantages of pulling the endorsement is that it forces otherwise intransigent elected officials to seek out delegates and ask for their vote. So for those of you, that means that they're going to have to pick up the phone and phone bank the delegates, that it's not an easy process, because this is a safeguard for incumbents. Because if they won once, the assumption is that they're a fairly safe bet to win again. And that's why they get certain protections within the bylaws. This is exactly the type of dynamic that might lead to productive conversations on the issues you support. and the legislation you need their vote on, like CalCare. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I agree. You should definitely put some pressure on these people that aren't doing what we need them to do. Next, let's look at some of the important dates coming up. December 27th, redistricting maps finalized. If you haven't started already, figure out which incumbents to target and which delegates live in the district. This is going to be so challenging, y'all. This is going to be really challenging. Everything's shifting. And I don't know if I have heard that they are actually going to, I've heard mixed messaging on this as to whether or not the districts that were, the delegates that were elected in the previous districts will still vote in some capacity in the new districts, or how this actually breaks apart. Because, like, for instance, if you have a district and say all of your delegates were on like one side of the district because they had a really particularly effective slate or something, and then they got cut out of that district because of the redistricting, I don't know that it's actually going to quite work that way, or if they're going to grandfather in the previous delegates who represented the district into the new districts. I'm not sure how this is working, and I think this is kind of still up in the air, but I'm not positive. January 3rd, candidates seeking endorsement get a list of pre-endorsement voters, which includes CDP delegates, Central Committee members, and club representatives. It's a good idea to check in with the candidate you are supporting and work with them to identify your target voters. The CDP will not provide a full list of pre-endorsement voters to anyone but the candidates. However, the caucus will purchase the DSCC list. Remember, pulling in wait a minute. The caucus will purchase a DSCC list. Are you still operating your PAC, guys? Are you still operating your PAC? Are you still planning on operating your PAC that funds this phone banking network and mailer network? And how are you planning to pay for all of that? Is that still going on? Is the PAC still operational? Because I thought that y'all had to get out of the business of doing these sorts of operations as part of the remedies. Now, I get that, this may be an act in good faith, but if you're still doing financial scandals, what the hell even? How are you going to afford to do this when you literally subscribe thousands of people to your caucus for free? Where's the money coming from? Remember, pulling an endorsement does not lock a voter into voting to endorse any candidate. It's just a request to have a vote. They want to really tie up this endorsement convention. They want to pull everybody. They want to like extend this out. Like this is. I mean, unless you guys actually target specific people and say your reasons why, this is just more filibustering because you're being very vague right now. January 25th, CDP to lock the pre-endorsement voter list and share with candidates. This list will include a lot of new appointees. When they say new appointees, they're talking about the incumbent, not only the incumbents. So this category is called PLEOs, party leaders and elected officials. Within that category is not only the elected Democrats who are eligible to have appointees, but it's also Democrats who advanced through the primary, didn't win their race, but they still are eligible to have a lesser amount of appointees. And so they may be, what they're suggesting here is that the new people will probably be named. That's entirely possible. People get swapped out all the time. Okay, this list will include a lot of new appointees, especially with all the boundary changes, right? Because they might have, they may have new restrictions. But I don't think I think they're making some sort of concessions for the elected assembly delegates and potentially even the central committee delegates too. I'm not positive about that though. So be ready to reanalyze the vote count. Okay, so they're trying to size up like who on the list would vote in favor of their people. Problem is, you got a lot of the time you're putting forward candidates who we simply cannot get elected because they're just not. I mean, I'm in Orange County. I'm looking at some of the candidates y'all have like lifted up in my own county, and I mean, some of them are just not electable, but okay, let's go. February 2nd, 5 p.m., important date. Deadline to submit petition of pre-endorsement voters calling for a vote instead of automatic endorsement. Requires 20% of pre-endorsement voters in the district. All right, so in Orange County, I can only give you Orange County numbers on that. 20% in the district. So, for example, my assembly district. Let's assume this is for assembly. There are 7 men and 7 women who got elected to assembly district delegate. There are 6 central committee members, all of which probably got selected to be CDP delegates. There's going to be 6 alternates, but I don't think all 6 of them got selected. And then we have Katie Porter, Mike Levin. They both got, I think, like 5 or 6 appointees apiece. And Harley Ruda, because he did not win last year, but he advanced through the primary, I think he gets a slightly lesser number of appointees. Plus the elected officials themselves. And so they all get to vote in that assembly district. And Scott Reinhart, who was our candidate, he advanced through the primary. He gets to vote, as well as I think he gets a couple of appointees because he didn't win, but he did advance through the primary. So it's going to be 20% of that total number of people within Assembly District 73 that get to vote on an endorsement. Now, we don't have an incumbent. There's a Republican, and he didn't advance, so we have a Republican right now. But that's the kind of numbers we're talking about, as the 3 legs of the stool and which districts they live in, fall in, and who gets to vote, basically. That's where we land. All right. Okay, so that's right. 20% of the pre-endorsement voters in the district. February 3rd, deadline for candidates to register for the endorsement. You guys are missing words in your email, by the way. It should be for the endorsement. You really are missing words. February 4th, ballots emailed to pre-endorsement voters unless regular mail is requested. February 12th, you'd have to be really old to want to request regular mail rather than, okay, all right, okay. February 12th, virtual pre-endorsement conference meetings held statewide. Okay, and from what I hear, they're planning on doing this in person this year. Requires 70% for an endorsement. By the way, in 2018, they were able to effectively block Dianne Feinstein from getting the endorsement. So, I'm rooting for y'all to do the right thing, as long as you don't make this like performative bullshit where you're just trying to, all right, let's go. February 22nd, important date, deadline to contest pre-endorsement vote and seek another endorsement vote at the convention. You're missing the thus, guys. Requires 20% of the delegates in the district and 20% of the delegates in the state. Well, I guess it depends on the race, right? Okay. That's basically, okay, so in the proposal world, that would be like your, we have in every proposal that we submit, when a decision is made, we have an opportunity to challenge that decision if it's a public contract. And that's kind of like these Democratic parties are actually private, but they do try and operate with the same sort of morality as public contracting, where there are processes to challenge. March 5th, endorsement voting at the CDP convention. Let's just emphasize again that you need only 20% of voters to force a pre-endorsement vote and only 30% to block pre-endorsement, mandating a vote at the convention. Seriously, whoever wrote this email, come on. That is not too big of a lift. Oh my God, too big a lift for a lot of districts. Dude, y'all are missing words. For more information, see these links. Okay, so you got some links here. If you have any questions at all, please respond to this email or reach out to one of the regional caucus vice chairs. Redistricting call for action. The deadline for public comment on redistricting is 12/20. Provided below are links for some specific areas of serious concern that we ask you to advocate for via an online form. Oh Lord, guys. Oh, you really need to do more to like check your emails before you send them or by calling in. Each link has a sample comment that you can customize. The whole process takes only a few minutes. Do not carve up the city of Carson, submitted by Ben Hawk. Hawk? I don't know if I say your name right, dude. Keep Karuk tribal lands together in CD2, submitted by Helene Rovier. West San Gabriel Valley, submitted by Katie Chant. So you only got 3? You're only challenging 3? You're asking everybody in the state to basically primary like every incumbent out there. You only have 3 that you're focusing on. Okay, let's go. CalCare statewide virtual phone bank party Monday, December 20 at 6 p.m. We will be calling identified CalCare supporters to get them activated in this fight. RSVP now. I'm going to be walking blocks, y'all. I can't. I'm trying to get pro-worker measures on the ballot right now. I'm walking blocks. We will be calling identified CalCare supporters to get them activated in this fight. Certain to be the easiest calls you have ever made. Every call to a voter in a priority district helps grow this movement and puts more pressure on key assembly members to support AB 1400 when it comes up for reconsideration next month. Again, I am asking, how are you funding your phone bank operations? How are you funding buying the data to do this? Buying the tools to do this? How are you doing this right now when you literally got all those people into the caucus by giving them a link telling them they could sign up for free? Where is the money coming from, and what are you doing to address the remedies that you need to meet with in order to become a full-fledged caucus again? Not only are these phone banks critical to our success next month, they will also be a fulfilling experience for volunteers like you. Everyone we're calling is already excited about single-payer healthcare. Okay, so I was right about that one. If you're new to phone banking, this is a perfect opportunity to get started. At the start of each virtual phone bank party, we'll go over everything you need to know, including how to use our calling tool. And of course, we'll leave plenty of time for any questions you may have about participating. All you need is a computer with internet access and a phone. Okay, and then they talk about their next meeting. That's going to be on January 12th. They're going to review and ratify the agenda, review the minutes. They're going to talk about AB 1400, CalCare. Appointment of North California Vice Chair. Oh. You're going to just appoint somebody? Wow. There are so many appointments on this freaking board at this point. Wow. Okay. CDP endorsements, organizing outside of the CDP. What is that? What are you organizing outside of the CDP? Why do you guys keep putting that stuff on the agenda? Why do you keep you're a function of the CDP. Why do you keep doing this? Have you been getting our emails? Yeah, apparently I am. I'm getting them. Join today, build the movement for progress. We may be the largest caucus in the party, but we are not satisfied with that. We want to be the largest Democratic Party organization in the nation. This starts with you. You're not even the largest caucus in the party because you're provisional. You're not even the largest caucus in the party right now. You're provisional. Can you get 2 people to join the... No, absolutely not. No way. I would not recommend anybody join this caucus at this point until you guys clean up your act. But all right, let's go.